Peace, family. This is Inaya. I wanted to talk about higher consciousness and how to tell when you are in alignment with your higher consciousness, whether you are living your life the way that you know that you can and that you should. So let me just break this down. What is our higher consciousness? When I say higher consciousness, what am I talking about? So I believe that each one of us was born with the wisdom to be able to answer all of our questions, which means that we have infinite knowledge. And that knowledge comes from multiple sources. It comes from our experience living life day to day. It comes from maybe memories of our past life that we have tucked into our subconscious or unconscious, and we operate by these things that we remember but we can't recall. I believe that we get knowledge from different spirit guides or different people that we come into contact with, and they'll just give us information that it completely blows our mind, but it shifts our whole world view. I believe you can get information that way. So there are always ways in which information is being downloaded into your consciousness. Whether you can gauge where the source came from, it doesn't really matter, but you know it's there. How do you know it's there? Because you're still here. Yeah, you're still here. Think about all of the times where you found yourself in a situation and you were just completely lost, completely mind blown. How did I get here? Am I going to make it? This is about to be the end. How many times have you really come across some life situations that were apocalyptic, in the moment? And then later on you look back yo, it wasn't even that deep. All I had to do was, or now I see why I had to go through that apocalyptic moment. There becomes clarity afterwards. But how often do you pay attention to the fact that that moment happened because you were able to navigate it somehow? There was something inside of you that led to your actions, that led to the perfect formula for removing yourself out of what was a stressful situation. So that is the higher consciousness that I'm talking about. The higher consciousness is able to navigate you when and maybe higher consciousness is a weird word to use, because that means there's a lower consciousness. That's weird to explain. But just for the sake of this conversation, let's just keep it, and then we can revisit what is a lower consciousness. But I'm more so explaining a concept rather than the breakdown of the words. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our knowledge that exceeds our knowledge, but that exists and that we operate from daily. So how to tell when your life is in alignment? Now, what your higher consciousness does, what role it plays, is it guides you to finding your inner light. And when I say that, I mean that we are all powerful, right? We literally have the power to create. And the power to create means that we can bring something into existence from nothingness. Think about it. Every idea that you have starts where? It's this abstract thing inside of a dark space that we envision, and we call it our mind. There's a dark space there that different ideas come out of, and it passes through our consciousness, right? So you get an idea, right? And there's this one part, let's say there's this one particular idea that just keeps, like, it keeps coming into your field of view and it just sticks there. You're like, okay, so this idea keeps popping up. There's something significant here. I'm feeling like there's a reason why this keeps popping up right now, because it wasn't there before, but here it is now. And let's explore it. So you stop it. Okay, cool. So now we're exploring, we're navigating. So what does this idea mean? What does it look like? Like, how can we bring this idea into reality? What would this idea look like manifested into this earthly existence that I know? What does that look like, right? And then we start strategizing. Okay, this is possible. It's possible to bring this idea, this abstract idea, into a concrete reality, into this reality that I know and that I'm aware of. How do I do that? Now I'm processing, like, okay, I know that it's possible. I'm now it's time to birth it into a reality. So the very next step, after a while, you write it down. That is the very first step of creation. Well, not the very first step, obviously. Coming up with the idea was the very first step. But, okay, the next step, you write it down. The transition from abstract to concrete. Now, it still hasn't, like, fully formed into, like, an experience. But it has now been taken into a different realm of possibility. So now that it's written down, you can now see it. You can keep writing down, you can keep strategizing, you keep planning, all of those things. Now it's time for action. Now it's time to move your energy in a way that is conducive to bringing this idea to life. That energy looks like going over here and interacting with this spirit. Perhaps it means going over here and, I don't know, messing with the pieces of paper and creating something over here. And there's different steps. Now you have to direct your energy, and you have to direct your energy with purpose and intention to bring this to life. So now we're generating the power that is necessary to bring this into life. And these things happen every day, but we don't really, like, stop to think how miraculous this stuff really is. But that's why we're here, right? So now we're conjuring this energy, we're getting it together, and we slowly start to see a development, right? And I'm speaking, like, completely ambiguously, because it can apply to literally everything. Look around, pick something. I see a book. That book didn't just pop out of thin air, right? That book started off as an idea in somebody's head. Then it started off as a series of ideas in somebody's head. And then that person wrote it down on a piece of paper, on a laptop, or whatever, desktop, whatever, they wrote it down. And then they went through the process of creating a physical book. So talking to publishers, talking to copyright people, talking to editors, talking to bookstores to hold the book, or online platforms, whatever it was, they were conjuring the energy, creating a space, creating an environment to cultivate this, what would become a book, to form and to be birthed. And then here it is. And then now I get to come along and observe what this creation is, and I can really appreciate it. This book is something that resonates with me, and I'm so glad that this person had the intention to bring this idea into existence. So it all comes back full circle, and that is the power of creation. Imagine if there was a thought in your head that you could bring out and then positively impact somebody else's life. That's power. I can't think of anything that's more powerful than that. Everything else is that we might consider powerful are merely just tools to, maybe make your message or whatever it is that you're bringing into creation more accessible. But ultimately, at the end of the day, regardless of what resources we have available, like physical resources in this earthly plane, know that internally we have that power to create, period. So now when we talk about our higher consciousness. Our higher consciousness is what guides us to creating things that are meant to serve as this positive impact thing. And so when you follow your higher consciousness, we also call that our intuition. So there we go, we can use that word instead. But it's basically something that's going to affirm your power. And when you know you are in alignment with that, everything in your life will appear to be harmonious. And notice I said harmonious as opposed to balanced, because there is a difference between having a harmonious life and a balanced life. Balanced life is kind of one of those arguable things where everyone kind of has their different interpretation of what a balanced life is supposed to look like. When you think balance, you think that equal things deserve equal energy type thing, and that's balance. But like everyone's life is different. Everybody interprets things differently. Everyone translates their life differently. So one person's idea of a balanced life may not necessarily work in the circumstances of someone else. So that's just a side note. But when your life is harmonious, meaning you wake up or you go through your day and you feel at ease, right? And you feel motivated, you feel purposeful, you feel intentional in the space that you're occupying. You don't kind of feel like you're floating in space, or you don't feel like numb. That's an indicator that you are not in alignment with your higher consciousness, or you're not in alignment with your power. When you feel numb from the world, where you feel like you prefer to just shut down or to pacify, or to lower the intensity of yourself, like you feel like you can't be yourself in a certain setting, or you feel like if you were to be yourself, that there's this anxiety that people aren't going to accept you, or you're not going to be accepted. Like those are all indicators that you're living out of fear, and you're most likely making fear-based decisions. And most fear-based decisions are self-sabotage. They keep us from tapping into our power. And when we engage in those fear-based activities, we forget how powerful we are, or we just don't even think to acknowledge, like, yo, I could literally do anything. Like, I can create something in my hand just by thinking about it. Like, I can materialize that if I really wanted to, And when you disconnect, and that disconnect can happen by surrounding yourself with the wrong people. That disconnect can happen from constantly putting yourself in an environment where there are lower vibrational people around you, or there are propaganda-like things that indicate that you don't have access to that power. There are lots of ways in which you can be subliminally swayed from your purpose, from finding happiness. And the first step to that is just becoming aware. Being aware of what it is that's causing you to not remember or to not feel, right? So if you want to know whether your life is in alignment, then I want you to ask yourself this. If I were to drop dead right now, so graphic, God, but just for the purpose of this exercise, okay? If you were to just end right now your life on this earth, would you or would you not be satisfied with how you spent your time up to this point? Even if you don't accomplish, or if you haven't accomplished what your ultimate vision was, there will still be a satisfaction if you know that you are working on it daily as adamantly as you can. Like, you can possibly do given your circumstances. Like if you are seriously contributing everything that you can in order to make your vision come to life, then regardless of whether that vision has come to life yet, it won't matter. But you will know. You will know. And you don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell anybody what your answer to that question is, but literally take that time and reflect to yourself. If it were all to go away now, like if you just had to stop what you were doing, literally drop pencils, done, test over, how'd you do? Like, how'd you do? So if your answer is not like, I didn't get to where I wanted to go, but if I had just a little bit more time, I'm 100% confident that I would have gotten there because I was dedicated, because that I had set my mind on creating this thing, and everything that I was doing was going towards making sure that this creation of this thing happened. And, if my life got cut short, then I did my best. I laid a framework, I have something there. I have work being done or in the process. So, okay. It must have just been that time because I don't know where that came from, type thing like that. Then you're in alignment. If you somehow feel as though like, oh man, if I was to go right now, I would be pissed off. Like, who just ended my life and I wasn't even like that? Like, if that's more so the feeling that you're getting, and it don't even have to be like all, like angry, or it could be a sad thing, like if you feel like, dang, I mean, I didn't do anything that I planned on doing. I wasn't even close. Like, what the heck? Like, if you are getting any type of feeling outside of, it just must have been meant to be, then it's time for some reevaluation. It's time to reevaluate how you're spending your time. It's time to reevaluate the energy that you're surrounding yourself with. It's time to evaluate the work that you're doing in order to maintain your awareness and to stay grounded and continue to search and continue to ask questions. That's the biggest thing, because you have the answers, but are you asking yourself the right questions? And once you ask yourself those questions, are you being honest with your answers? So these are just things to think about. It's all for the journey. At the end of the day, we're all working. All of us, even if it doesn't seem like we're working, we are. But if we're not aware of it, it kind of gets pointless. It's like random energy just kind of like flowing around. You know what I mean? If it's not directed, then you kind of don't have any expectations. You don't know what exactly is going on. It's chaos. It's very difficult to find peace in chaos. So it's all connected, and I'm just here to plant seeds. You know what I'm saying? Like, this video may or may not make sense, but the fact that you're here means that it was time in your journey, whatever it is that you're going through, it was time for you to hear what it was that I'm saying. It may not resonate with you today, but maybe it will a few years from now, a few days from now, a few minutes. You know what I'm saying? So let's celebrate this moment right now that you're here and you're curious enough to ask, which means you're going to get what it is that you envision, because you're already in the process. This is the move. You are now in the process of manipulating energy. So let's watch it work, y'all. All right? So peace. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys soon.